Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about inequality and its effects on society. Inequality is a topic which has been discussed for many years, and in today's society, it's still a very present theme. Inequality in the world is increasing rapidly, and the problems which this causes are many. In numerous countries, inequality rates has already reached very high levels, and it is clear that the trend in such countries is that the rich gets richer and the poor gets poorer. This video will demonstrate that inequality is bad for society. As an example of the previous mentioned phenomenon, we can take a look at the evolution of income inequality in the US over the last 3 decades. In 1976, the top 1% of the US earned 9% of the national income. But in 2012, they earned 24%. That is almost a quarter of all the wealth created in America each year. This means that over a relatively short period of time, the top 1% takes home almost 3 times more of the income than what they did in 1976.
Now we're gonna talk about the problems that inequality causes. Some of the problems are low level of life expectancy, low level of math and literacy, high infant mortality, high rates of homicides, more people are imprisoned, more teenage births, low level of trust, high level of obesity, more people with mental illnesses, drug and alcohol abuse, and less social mobility.
Research conducted by the award-winning economic inequality specialist Richard G. Wilkinson has shown that there is a strong correlation between all the mentioned social problems and the level of income inequality within the countries. As we can see from this chart, the Scandinavian countries and Japan, which has low income inequality, have less social problems. Meanwhile, Portugal and the US has high rates of inequality, which also means high rates of social problems. We are now going to look a little closer on one of the aspects which inequality creates, which is to what degree people are able to go from one social class to a different one. In other words, if social mobility exists. In the same research as before, it was discovered that in countries with high inequality, the future social class of children is very dependent upon their parents' wealth. This means that if your parents are rich, you are very likely to remain rich, and if your parents are poor, you will also stay poor. But if you take a look at the Scandinavian countries, the children are less dependent upon their parents, so even though your parents are poor, you will still have a fair chance of becoming wealthy as an adult. Lastly, we want to ask what can be done in order to achieve this beneficial equality. And to answer this, we're so lucky that we brought Oxford professor in economics, Mr. Benitez. What do you have to say to this question?
Well, I have been studying economics and inequality for the last 45 years, and I can tell you that there are three solutions. First, we need to get people to pay higher taxes in companies to stop avoiding making laws that make them pay full taxes. Secondly, we have to raise minimum wage in order to get all people to start from the same point and get the poor people to have an advantage over the rich. And thirdly, we gotta recognize this problem and get an efficient government and efficient citizens that care about each other, helping everybody towards an economic utopia.
Thank you very much.